Meaning, my laptop is a bit lagging, so bear with me. Okay. Can people see the screen in front? Does the logo pop up, Dr. Farina, Dr. Ilmar? I only see you guys, so you can see.
Yep, I can
Okay.
see them.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. I'll do an introduction. So my name is Shavis Chima, and I'm the founder of One Stop Borneo Wildlife. It's a wildlife conservation organization founded in 2012, and I'm also an administrator to the Borneo Mammals Club on Facebook. The Borneo Mammals Club is basically an online community of mammal lovers, researchers, photographers, and people who have visited Borneo and who just have an interest in mammals of Borneo. So on Mammals of Borneo Club, there are so many people working on so many interesting um, things from arboreal mammals to marine mammals to pangolins and so on. So the objective of the week was to share with the public on the interesting work being carried out. So today's discussion will be on can elephants and plantations coexist to a mutual benefit. Okay. Now, before I go into that, I will just give an introduction of our organization, and then I will get into the discussion. So, like I said, One Stop Borneo Wildlife is basically a conservation organization. And for some of you who don't know where Borneo is, well, that's Borneo. The red map in the middle, that's opposite Singapore, and that's Australia over there. So we have an education program, a very comprehensive education program where we raise awareness about animals in general. For example, this is on pythons. We also have developed the first education chapter on Borneo about local wildlife and the environment, which if you any of your school teachers, we can pass it to you. Um, One of the reasons why we work on pythons is because they're very commonly caught by the fire department and the public as they enter people's houses, usually eating the chickens, and people usually kill them. So we have a free rescue service program where we take them in and release them. This particular reticulated python was just behind my own house when my neighbor caught it. And I think this one was at least 20 feet long. We have a rescue service and on pangolins as well. So we have rescued at least almost 30 pangolins now. So yeah, again, they pop up at people's houses. As you can see, the kid below, she attended one of our workshops. So we also do a bit of research on the pangolins. Uh, so in the long term, we'll be doing some wildlife tracking on pangolins as well for research and also for tourism purposes, but that's a different topic, which I will not be discussing on pangolins today. We also have a project on dolphins, the Irrawaddy dolphins and humpback dolphins, which Chun Sing Wong discussed about a few days ago. If any of you attended that, the Borneo Dolphin Project. So basically, we involved community involved. We get the fishermen involved. It's research and developing sustainable economic alternatives for local people. We have a cycling project in Sarawak. Basically, in a nutshell, we're trying to create a new national park, as you can see over there in Marodi, which is connected with Brunei, and that is the one part of Brunei which is connected with Mulu. So it's going to be an interesting project. So it has started. So that is the proposed protected area to the government, but let's see what they say. And then we also work on hornbills. This is the rhinoceros hornbill in front. How do we work on them? We're trying to grow the figs and the fruiting trees they eat. And we're building a nursery of it. And we usually replant them in the two corridors which we work on. We also have developed nest boxes for hornbills. As you can see in this, this is the pied hornbill using one of the boxes which we created. This is the helmeted hornbill. We observe them. We try to do some research again on them as well. Their eating behavior, what they feed to their partners, and some of the other wildlife, such as this beautiful gibbon. This is just behind my room. Red leaf monkeys. This is we are doing a snake survey as well in Tawau, and we have already recorded 49 species, including one potentially new to science and two new records of reed snakes, calamaria. This is potentially a new species to science, this particular calamaria reed snake. We do a frog survey in the park we are based in as well. This is my favorite frog, Borneo flying frog, Rhacophorus bernensis. Took me 8 years to find it, so it was a dream come true when I saw it for the first time. Okay, today, getting to the point. Today's discussion will be if can elephants and plantations coexist to a mutual benefit. Uh, Today's topic will be around Bornean elephants, but of course this applies to the elephants found in other parts of Southeast Asia, like in Thailand and in West Malaysia. Now, if we do a quick Google research, Borneo elephants and plantations of palm oil, you will see a lot of negative news. Usually the elephant is the loser, they have been shot or they've been poisoned when they come in conflict with human beings. Now that is quite sad when that happens. That usually happens because they eat people's crops, the smallholders or the big ones, if they can cause a lot of damage. Okay, for example, this is a dead elephant which was poisoned. So basically, there are many ways some plantations try to um, shoo away elephants on Borneo. Okay, they use selective fencing or they fence the whole plantation sometimes to avoid the elephants going in. But one of the drawbacks to this, which could be potentially the elephants might just become hungrier and angrier and just might cause more damages to the fencing itself and so on. They use those fake, not fake, meaning to say just those shotguns, which are not really guns, but just make this loud gun-like noise to shoo away elephants. And then they also have sometimes local workers which try to shoo them away when they were coming close to the young palm and so on. So at this moment, if people want to see the Bornean elephant in the wild, they usually think of the reserves such as the Kinabatangan River or Danam Valley or Tabin Reserve. These are all forest reserves, yeah, where people usually go and see Bornean elephants. A lot of people don't know this, that there are actually a lot of resident and also elephants which are just passing through palm oil plantations, okay, in Sabah and also in West Malaysia and places in Johor and in Thailand. So there are a lot of elephants which are either resident or just passing through palm oil plantations. Now, not many people go to palm oil plantations except the locals or the workers and people who are in the business. The public doesn't go, the tourists don't really go to palm oil plantations or softwood plantation or plantations in general because, you know, people come from Europe or the US, they didn't spend thousands of pounds or euros to go to a plantation, right, to see a monocrop. So we thought of something. Our organization thought of something in 2018. We thought maybe this is an opportunity and a solution. Why not we bring in visitors to a plantation, either researchers or students or tourists or so on. We thought, why not we bring in the public to palm oil plantations and maybe do some project. Now, our biggest concern was not being racially discriminative, but we thought the Europeans or Americans or Australians, they don't want to go into plantations because of the image people have of how bad plantations are. So that was our concern. We were wrong there big time. So we thought of an idea. We call it Plant for Borneo Elephants. It's basically we are helping one of the local plantations. They have set aside a wildlife corridor 5 years ago. We're helping them replant this corridor by bringing in people, and they plant a few trees in the morning. All right, maybe just 2 or 3 trees each. They buy the trees from the plantation, and in the afternoon we do a 4-wheel safari trying to search for wild Bornean elephants, just like what's happening in Tabin and Danom and Kinabatangan. It's not rocket science. It's not something which we invented. You know, wildlife tourism on elephants. Everybody's been doing it, except we just thought, why not try in a different location? So what is the result? Let me show you. So what happened was, basically, this is how it works. This is a family from England and Papua New Guinea. They're actually residing in Brunei. They came to this plantation. They buy trees from the plantation. So the plantation is making money in their nursery. Okay. And we try to plant fig trees, which, sometimes the leaves are loved by elephants, and also we just trying to plant more figs because it will attract a lot of wildlife. To tell you the truth, that the corridor which we're trying to plant is not just for elephants. It's just that the name plant for Borneo elephants might attract people. The word elephant is actually for the other animals like the squirrels, the civets, and so on. To use this corridor because it's in between two reserves. So the more figs or fruiting trees we plant, hopefully they will attract more wildlife and use this corridor being used more. So this is how we have done it. On the left is a four-wheel safari. This is in the early days when we didn't have the seats and everything, but now we do. And on the right is actually, we were in the nursery, just picking up a trees, and there was a big bull behind us. So usually when we do find elephants, we don't leave the car and keep our distance. But this was just a lucky case. Now, so basically the idea we gave to the plantation owners is that, hey, look, your elephants are not a liability. They're an asset. You shouldn't shoo them away, or I know they have caused damages to you, but look, maybe you can make money out of it in a good way, and maybe it's a good PR effect. So in this particular plantation which we have collaborated with, the damages by elephants last year were around 5,000 ringgit, which is not a lot, but usually they can be up to 100,000 or a few 100,000 ringgit. But with this particular plantation, the damages last year at least were around 5,000, and we raised around 30,000 ringgit for them through these uh, wildlife conservation and tourism activities. If you just do a simple math, 30,000 minus 5,000, that's a 25,000 ringgit revenue. That's not much because, we are a very small grassroots organization, but the impact is great. So the impact is great. So this is changing mindsets. These kind of activities are creating jobs for drivers, for cooks. The money is being poured in for planting trees, buying the trees for the nursery, and guides and so on. So if you look in that value, the more people in the area are starting to realize, wow, wildlife tourism is not so bad. Elephants are not so bad. So we're trying to do more workshops in this area as well. So basically, there's an economic value, and we are actually acting as rangers. We are doing conservation here. Like I said, not many people go to plantations. So the more drives we do around plantations, in case you find something suspicious, you can always report to the police or the authorities and so on. you know so, and also, if hunters or people who are doing something which they are not supposed to be doing, if they see people regularly using a particular road, they will be like, wow, we want to keep our distance from this road, and we don't want to be seen. They don't want confrontation. So maybe it's a project which is working in this plantation. There are around 62 elephants in this plantation. So, and there are at least three groups. Two of them are collared, I think, or three of them. This is a picture which was taken in 2018. The elephant is really quite a distance away, and yeah, again, we don't allow our visitors to do this. This was, I think, I was alone with the local guys, but this is how it looks like, from a distance. Usually, a bull was no. This is not a bull. There was a group behind it as well, and as you can see, it's a softwood plantation. This is the elephant group over there. They're usually very calm when we see them. It's a breeding group as well. Usually you see babies with them, like this picture over here. At least you see one, two, three youngsters. They're very calm, enjoying it themselves. As long as you keep your distance, between 50 meters to 100 meters, switch off the engine, and stay in the vehicle, or just around the vehicle, and keep your distance. Elephants know you're not going to disturb them. They'll be very happy. So the elephants are a matriarchal society, where the female lady is the boss, as you can see in the middle. She's, I think, she's been leading this group for a while. This is a very nice scenario I got. It's a grandma over there and a mother, and I think that's maybe the sister or the youngster of it. So this is again a softwood plantation, but we see the elephants all the time in palm oil plantations all the time. This one is a collared elephant, as you can see. So usually we only see them in the daytime because we only do the drives either in the early morning or late afternoon. Night we don't disturb them, and they love eating their grass actually. They love eating grass, and in the corridor when they're there, they eat on the other trees which have been planted, usually the leaves. So it's a very short actually project discussion I wanted to share with you. So what is the future and what is the conclusion I can share with you? So like I said, traditionally the way to scare off elephants is usually through fencing the whole area out and shooing the elephants away, through false shootings, sound of the gun. So, and of course, the ideal way would be to have more enforcement and penalties, yeah, for the perpetrators. But that's easier said than done. So, some of the suggestions to reduce the elephant and the human conflict, or and how to make them exist in a mutual way. During the Asian elephant conference last year, some of the suggestions were that we need to do selective fencing rather than fencing the whole plantation. Just use selective fencing around young palm which are 6 years or below, because elephants are usually looking for that. After that, they usually, not always, usually don't disturb. So the damage is the left. So if the elephants are just walking freely in the plantation, they'll be calmer and so on. This is one of the things. Napier grass planting. More grass should be planted along the side. This is another suggestion for put forward, because actually elephants want grass, simple. They want to eat more grass, and maybe fruiting trees and their leaves. And maybe tourism. Is tourism one of the answers? I say, why not? I mean, it's working in one plantation, but of course, that does not mean it's going to work in all the plantations. Can you imagine if one elephant is collared from a group all over Sabah or wherever they are in Thailand or Malaysia, and the data is used for not only for enforcement purposes by the government, but to sustain this whole enforcement and collaring, do wildlife tourism, high-end wildlife tourism with wildlife travel companies. Visitors want to see elephants. Keep your distance, have SOPs. Like I said, elephant tourism is not something new, yeah? It's been happening for decades now on Borneo and around the world. So this is not something new. Why not we just do it? Because from the money raised through tourism, these plantations, like I said, will see elephants as an asset. Some of them, they could pay the cost of the collars and maybe do more it's free enforcement as well. People driving around plantations and planting maybe more trees. So there's win-win situation. So that is one of the suggestions. And like I said, it works in one of the plantations, and we're in talks with two more plantations in Sabah who want to bring this methodology in. But of course, there's no one answer. You can't just have grass planting. You cannot just have selective fencing. You cannot just have tourism. You cannot just have enforcement by penalizing the plantations or wherever the animal dies. I think we need to try a holistic approach. We need to try everything, and see which plant where it benefits the most. So this is all I can share with you. So far, it is successful with us in our project side. And I have put a link in the chat box of this project, a short film which was made on this project. And the Deputy Chief Minister of Sabah, who is also the Minister of Tourism, also was interviewed for this project. And this project has been highlighted in magazines abroad from Singapore and the US. So people like this idea, and the plantation guys which we have discussed with have been quite positive as well. Again, bearing in mind proper SOPs are followed through, and just like anywhere else, whether on the Kinabatangan River or Tabain, keeping your distance and so on. And it's not mass tourism, yeah, it has to be controlled wildlife tourism. So that is the conclusion I wanted to. This is basically the project I wanted to say. That's our contact details. So what I just wanted to share again today was, in a nutshell, there is conflict happening between elephants and plantations in Southeast Asia, not just Borneo. It's getting better. Okay, plantations are some taking care sometimes of these elephants more. The damages by elephants can be substantial, especially for a small shareholder. So in the past, fencing has been carried out and shooing them away through using false gunshots. The suggestion which I wanted to share with you was an initiative called Plant for Borneo Elephants, which is an initiative by our organization and a plantation here in Sabah. It's working so far. It creates jobs, it pumps money in the economy, it helps change mindsets locally and for the plantations. And we act as free enforcement, you can say, rangers, and money is used for many other conservation related projects. So it's a win-win situation for everybody. There is no harm. More trees are planted as well in the corridors. So it's a great initiative from, at least from our perspective, and at least in the one of the areas where it is successful so far. So I wanted to just share that idea, and it's more like a discussion today actually. Yeah, so I hope others, I'm done talking. So if anybody would like to give comments, whether you agree, whether you disagree, whether your suggestions, if maybe you have other plantation contacts in Sabah or West Malaysia or Thailand, please share, so we can discuss with them. So I'm going to share the link again of the short film, and it's been shared in the chat box. So the floor is now all yours. If anybody would like to talk about anything, share anything. How can you do that? You can just look at the bottom of your screen again, click reactions, thumbs up, or raise your finger, meaning to say you want to say something or ask something or talk, and then let's have a discussion. Jess has a question in the chat box. Really interesting talk, Chavez, and a great idea. Just wondered what areas the corridors are set in. Do they link two areas of nearby forests? Yes, Jess. At least the project which we're working on right now in Tawau, it's connecting two reserves, basically Klumpang and Sagama, Danam Valley and Tawau, basically, yeah. So in between, it's a 14-kilometer long corridor, and Sime Darby is also giving us a new corridor land soon near Tawau, and we're going to have an MOU signing in October, and we're going to plant that area as well, full of figs and maybe some grass as well. So yes, indeed. Anybody else would like to ask, please unmute yourself, raise your hand, and have a nice discussion. Yes, that will be very good, Jess. Maybe we can do, before, during, and after camera trap survey to see what kind of wildlife is using the corridor. That would be great, especially arboreal is very nice. Mala has a question. Do you also have programs to educate the plantation staff on what to do when they meet elephants? Fortunately, they have their own conservation environmental department, this particular plantation, and they have been doing that already for years. So we don't have to do much. Actually, we are learning from them as well. You see, we are not really elephant experts or certain wildlife experts. We are developing conservation projects and sustainable projects. I want people to have a value for wildlife and in a holistic way. Of course, we have certain expertise in certain animals, but on elephants, we don't have so much expertise. So we let the plantation environmental department do it. So we're fortunate enough, we're learning from them as well. But the next two plantations, which you're going to work with them soon, we will try to collaborate with them and teach them by involving this plantation, which has a successful record already, and maybe other organizations as well once the agreements are signed, either with the wildlife department or as maybe with Sarato Atai or other organizations which have had long-term experience. You're welcome. I think a few people have already joined our projects. For example, Natalie has joined Plant for Borneo Elephants. Maybe I hope you enjoyed it, Nat, planting the trees and seeing the elephants from a distance and having fun.
Yes, I really very much did. It's a very interesting project size, and I really feel like it's nice to be part of it, part of the tree planting, and yeah, knowing that you can give something in return that way. Yeah.
That's good. Does anybody else want to say something? Whether you agree, disagree, suggestions? It would be really nice to have more discussion. Do you think the situation will be this? Do you think the situation will be the same if the plantation start to do replanting new oil palm trees? I'm not too sure what that question means. Do you mean? Could you elaborate further, Farina?
So can you hear me?
Barely. Can you
Okay.
try talking?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, kind of.
Okay. So basically, right now, many plantations are doing replanting. That after 25 years, they will have to chop down their trees and then replant new trees, right?
Yes.
So elephants love, like you say, elephants they don't really choose the adult trees, but they prefer the young, between 3 to 5 years old. But
Um,
what
you're breaking up in the last bit. I can't really.
so you say that the plantation, usually the elephants won't cause any harms or much damages in the plantation with adult trees, right? But usually they really like all palm trees between 3 to 5 years old. So this is the most vulnerable time for the plantation. So let's say if the plantation, not only Sabah Sofu or other plantation, when they start to do replanting, do you think they will still accept elephants to stay around in their plantation?
So let me summarize. Your question was basically a nutshell. If the new land has been cut down and they're planting new palm oil trees, will the plantation accept the elephants coming to the area?
Yeah, because obviously they want to protect the young trees, and then we know that electric fence won't work if the elephants want to eat. Somehow they will try to, to break the electric fencing. Well, that's at least the experience that we have in Kinabatangan.
Hmm. Well, good question and good experience you have had. I think I will have to discuss with the plantation guys on how the situation would be, but maybe they're already doing it, and I'll have to, I think, ask them on what they would be like. I think if they real, I think if they're cutting down a new plot of forest for plantation, oil palm, and I think if they selectively fence that area, I think the elephants will have difficulty going in. But of course, if they do go in, then the damages might happen. But at least this particular plantation, I don't think they're going to harm them, too much as well. I think there are too many eyes there as well, and we're doing wildlife trips there all the time. So I think they might, they might get the money from the trips which we're doing and compensate the damages there. So it's a very good question actually, and maybe I'll have to look into it and talk to the managers there on what has happened in the last few months if they've cut down something new. So it's a good question, and maybe if you can type your experience from Kinabatangan, that will be fantastic. I'm going to mute Christian. Okay, thank you, Farina, for your question. Yokmoi, fantastic program on stop burning, good to be replicated in other plantations. Yes, I agree, Yokmoi. Dr. Ulmar has a question. How far do the elephants move around? What is their home range? Who is radio tracking the elephants? Great questions, Dr. Ulmar. I think I don't have the answer to all these questions. um, how far do the elephants move around? They do move around quite a big distance. Radio tracking the elephants, the wildlife department, the plantation guys, and yeah, maybe Farina, you could help answer that question. Maybe as you did your PhD and everything. How far do the elephants move around, and what is their home range?
So it depends on where they are actually. So when in our studies we found out that the home range of the elephants are higher when they are in fragmented areas such as Lower Kinabatangan and Kabi.
Also,
But like in
so yeah,
central
their home range is bigger in fragmented forest. Yeah.
so actually yes. So yeah. So I can't remember now by heart, but so the Nongkrong Field Center they collect quite a lot of elephants. So they work with Sabah Wildlife Department. When they do translocation, they will try to follow the elephants to understand the home range and all these kinds of questions. I think right now we have more than 40 elephants that we collect around Sabah, mainly by WWF Malaysia and then our elephant center. So you can Google, go to Google Scholar or something and type their home range and elephants, Bornean elephants. You should find the papers. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Farina. Dr. Omar, we'll try to get you a paper on this. Maybe we'll search and see the elephant home range. I think they have few published recent papers as well. But as Dr. Farina has said that in fragmented forests, their home range is bigger because they roam around more. But the exact distance, I'm not too sure. From our experience with Dr. Omar, in the plantation we are working in, there are 3 groups. 2 groups are almost permanent. They only stay in the plantation almost. They do go into the forest reserves around, but they're almost, you can say, resident in the plantation. So, and the plantation is 66,000 hectares. So, we have kind of we have seen them almost every part of the plantation. So it's a long, it's a big distance. So, but that's from our experience there. I think the BNS members which have come as well have seen almost the same groups, but at different parts of the plantation. Christopher has a question. What is the elephant current diet in the disturbed area? Christopher, at least in the plantation, or at least our experience so far, we have seen them eating grass. We've seen them eating the bark of the trees. What else have you seen them eating? What else have you seen them eating, Chun? You know? Maybe Chul can type as well from his experience, but at least I remember them eating lots of grass, lots of leaves of the young shoots of trees which we planted actually, and also in the young palm they usually break the tree open eating the sago or something, the white aspect of the palm tree. So that's what we've seen them.
Thank you, Chavez.
You're welcome. Long time no talk.
Yes, long time no here.
Yes. Dr. Achun has a comment. Hi, Dr. Farina. Whenever the plantation we work with a clear palm oil area, elephants will definitely come to feed on the destroyed trees. This is the plantation they do not mind. In fact, it will become the best time for tourism as an open area to see elephants feeding. However, when they're trying to plant new crops, they invest more in extra fencing to protect the new palms. The old trees, when they will remove the fence, allow the tribes to roam in. Elephants will also enjoy eating durian fruit and banana leaves, which we plant, which is highly unfortunate as I love durian, so I do not enjoy them eating. Yok Moy has said, I remember Dr. Farina saying their favorite is the roots, I guess. Is that true, Dr. Farina? Elephants love eating roots? Until now, we haven't get to find the reason why elephants are dying in OPP. Maybe we should determine this first before we promote tourism and plantation. That's a good topic to put on the table. But elephants, but we could say this in any other place, I think, and I think there's no harm in doing it right now already. I mean, I wonder how will that make a difference when we find the reason of their deaths in plantations now. And I mean, when they're already there, and if why not create a positive value for them and create jobs for locals and money being poured in for the local people. I think it's something good for the local people, and it's not that people are stressing the elephants out. So it's, I think, I don't see a reason why we shouldn't find out, unless we know exactly by when these answers will be out. That will be good to know. But yeah, I think I don't see a reason why we shouldn't do these projects anyways, because they are all positively aligned. Idelia has a question. Are the elephants are now permanent residents in plantation because of fruit trees and grass are planted to feed them? I'll answer that question first. Again, Idela, I can only answer you from one particular plantation. This particular plantation has 3 groups which we have seen. 2 are almost permanent. We only see them in the plantation, but we see them all. We see them all the time, year long in the plantation. But I know they go into the forest corridors and other places as well. I'm not too sure. Maybe that was the historical home range anyway, so that's why they're always there. So, but it is proven by the plantation that in the corridor, as more trees are being planted, they do prefer the corridor itself, the river over there, and the trees. Maybe because it's cooler as well. So that's all the experience I can share with you from our side, at least. Is this also concerned in terms of genetic diversity if they don't roam and meet with other elephants, or no, there are no typos? Good question. I think that could be a concern for the whole population itself, because elephants on Borneo are found on east coast at the moment. So that's one big um, uh, area, and there's a threat that they could, what if the disease comes, it could affect the whole gene pool there. And I think Dr. Farina has done more research on this. I don't have much experience on this genetic bit. Maybe all of them already have some. A lot of them have been through inbred and inbreeding and everything. But that is a good question, Idila, and I don't think I'm the right person to answer that. Farina has a question. Do you have many challenges to convince people about this idea? No, I think so far we have been lucky. I can tell you a lot of people love this idea. Travel companies love it. Plantations love it. A lot of the environmentalists we talk to love it. The tourists, they love it. They're crazy for this. They want more of these projects. I think the biggest concern comes from certain NGOs and certain groups of people, or certain not authorities, but certain people. But so far, the people, government people, or the tourists and the public we have met, they all love the idea. Actually, we wish we have more money and more resources to expand this, because we're a grassroots organization, and we are limited with this. So we actually, I would say 90% has been positive in convincing people, and the challenges have been actually from other people who have been just not happy with the idea. And maybe that is because either it's not their idea or they're, I'm not too sure. So yeah. Natalie, I think you texted something. Wait, who's it? uh, Chun has, I think with tourism pressure and public image, the plantation may be more careful in maintaining the livelihood of the elephants, like making sure of the chemical usage and not shooting elephants, so on. Natalie has something. I noticed when I was in the plantation that there were areas of new growing palm oil trees. It didn't seem to be any problem to the plantation owners, as they were really happy to work together and have tourists coming in. That was my experience at the time, and it was very meaningful to me as a tourist to observe this. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Farina. I hope we are going to be collaborating more in the very near future, because you see, your organization is fully focused on elephants, and we are on wildlife in general and developing these projects. And I hope we can collaborate more and do more projects together. As you being an elephant expert, and your expertise would be so much welcome. And we love reading your articles sometimes. Shahrani, any future projects rather than to do wildlife corridor for elephants in Borneo? Yeah, then is that what is the question, Sharani? Is it like asking what kind of projects we have in the future for elephants only, or what? Or other animals as well? Yes, we have other projects like the Borneo Dolphin Project, and we're doing some surveys on snakes, and we have a very comprehensive education program. We're looking for more schools which want to adopt this education chapter which we have created, and we're trying to make more schools and institutions go plastic bag free. And we have one plastic bag free school now. We're trying to make another 20. So if you can help us with more context, that will be fantastic. And maybe we can meet up in Tawau in 10 days time and have some coffee and talk about this. We are trying to, yeah, like I said, we're discussing with 2 more plantations to develop this project further in their own sites. Any other comments, questions, worries, agreeing, disagreeing? Hmm. Does anybody here else work on elephants by any chance? Or have any connections of plantations in West Malaysia or Sabah? Because our connections are quite limited. I hope you all can visit us after this is over in Tawau, in Sabah, and plant some trees and do some safaris on just not just elephants though, on other wildlife as well. Because wildlife safaris on elephants and other wildlife has been happening for years in places like Dramakot, Tabin, and so on. So it would be good if you guys come over and support some projects. Your point. Does Sabah Softwoods impose any restrictions on your program? In what sense, your point? In terms of observations, in terms of what? Oh no, they don't limit us to any areas we can go. No. Actually, they are very new to this as well. So we actually had our own rules and regulations we gave to them, and they were happy. For example, we told them, because you see, sooner or later, other companies will be interested in this. So we told them, look, some companies, we're a conservation organization. Some companies just want to see elephants, and some companies might just stress animals out to see their animal. For example, the Kinabatangan River, so many companies are going so close to the elephants, stressing them out. So we need to have strict rules. So at least with the plantation, it's more control. So for example, we have rules like no night drives looking for elephants. And again, keeping a distance 50 to 100 meters. Only 2 to 3 times a week we can do these safaris, yeah? And so we have our own rules which are given to them. So in that context, yes, in a good way. Will this webinar be shared on your Facebook page? Uh, Not for you. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, Idela, I'll send you a link later. Okay, Idela? Or I can even email you the presentation later. It's very simple. Chun has said we come up with a SOP for viewing elephants in this and that particular plantation. So that is the limit. We can enjoy viewing the elephants as long as tourists follow the rule. Yes. So yeah, it's actually a good education for the visitor to understand how a plantation works, how palm oil industry works, and how you know how complicated the situation is. You have to understand that how palm oil started. You need to know the history, for example. It started through logging industry, timber, but and then palm oil. You need to understand that don't forget the demand of palm oil and timber comes from countries abroad as well. In business is always supply and demand. So they're trying to vilify maybe countries which make palm oil, but they don't talk about the countries which have supported or at least demanded as well. And also, if we can't just boycott plantations as well. Job losses will happen. And okay, there's not a better, it's been scientifically proven as well, there's no better alternative than palm oil. So we have to coexist it with it. Of course, we need pressure, maybe no new plantations, at least by the government. But there's no better cash crop at the moment. I think cattle farming is even worse, and growing olives and everything, or soy and so on. So it's a very complex discussion. So this is the discussions we have with people, and it's a new thought of people's mind. So I think that's good, but at least rather than just playing the blame game, we're trying to mitigate, we're trying to work together. Why not, how things can be positive still. Yukmoy, apart from elephants, what other large animals have been spotted in softwoods? Red leaf monkeys, pigtail macaques, orangutans. I think 2 or 3 of them have been observed. There was a clouded leopard in the plantation just a few weeks ago eating a pig. It's not resident in the plantation. It just comes every once a month. It is collared as well, this particular clouded leopard. It has a huge range. um, Deers, pigs, deers like samba deer, mouse deers, moonchecks have been spotted. So there's actually quite a good wildlife there in the plantation, the larger mammals. So hopefully more will come back. Gibbons are found near the edge of the plantation as well. Yeah, leopard cats are there. Thank you, Honey Roll. Honey Roll, you have to come, huh? Brunei Nature Society has already been there, so you have to come here, visit us soon. Dr. Ilmar too, so you both have no excuses after this. Thank you. So you take care, Honey Roll. Yokmoi, yeah, what else? Cloudy's, yes, Cloudy's, Clouded Leopard, one individual has been coming around. So hopefully it will use the corridor even more in the long-term future. Orangutans, yes. And actually, there are some orangutans which are resident as well, and other parts of Sabah as well. Look for this organization called Pongo Alliance, Pongo Alliance. They're working on trying to mitigate between orangutans and in plantations. We will be starting a project called Plan for Orangutans soon as well, in a different reserve and plantation based on this project. Thank you, Natalie. Any other questions and thoughts, worries? Idella, are you recording this data on the different animals which use the corridor, the different types of animals, how often they use the animal, different types of animals? Yes, the data on the frequency, we are not doing it at the moment yet because of our limited resources and money, and manpower and everything. But the plantation, I think, is and we try to help them as much as possible. So the in we have a database Excel sheet. We have done 67 trips. We've written down what animals we see, how many times we see elephants, where exactly, and some camera trapping by them as well. So, but the new corridor which we are going to start soon, which I'll bring you hopefully next month, Idella, we plan to do that before, during, after. Hope that answers your question. Jess has a question. Maybe you could collaborate with, example, UMS, if the undergrad or master students who could do a research project on animal. Yes, indeed. We just started the project for 2 years. We wanted to see how successful it would be, you know, and I can tell you that at least from our side, it's successful, and we're happy. The plantation is happy. So now, once COVID-19 is over and business and projects can resume to their full capacity, we plan to do this. And if you have connections, that would be great. Thank you, Jess. So that as a reminder for myself again. And, we actually need more students from abroad and locally coming, especially abroad, coming over to our corridor project so they can plant more trees and and help with these kind of projects. So if anybody has connections with universities or colleges abroad or schools, that would be great. I'm very good at shameless advertising. Any more questions, thoughts, anybody? You mentioned 3 herds of ellies at the plantation. Have you encountered solitary bull elephants? Yes, we have. Actually, there are a few resident, quite habituated bull elephants in the plantation as well, who are usually behind people's housing areas. So yeah, but my golden rule is always stay away from these bulls. So far they're okay, they're calm, but you never know. But no, there are a few solitary elephants here and there. You see them. Also during the drives, you can see you have a very dry patch for a few kilometers, and suddenly there's a bit of dung, just a bit. No, not the whole group. So I'm assuming there could be a bull or so. But no, there are a few bulls. We actually just saw a bull we posted on our social media on the highway from Tawau to KK, and we find bulls here and there. But in this plantation, yes, a few. And like I said, at least one or two of them are quite habituated. But stay away always. Bull elephants are the least timid. We see them quite often. Yes, but again, to know these particular bull elephants near the plantation are quite relaxed. But again, golden rule: no matter how timid or relaxed they are, stay away. Stay away from elephants in general. Keep your distance. Idela, did you get the link to the project, the Plan for Borneo Elephants, the YouTube link? Thank you. If anybody else has, Christopher, thanks for tuning in from Philippines, by the way, and Jess from England, and Asha from Australia, Luke, I think from Australia as well. Thank you so much, guys. Um, Thanks. Stay in touch as well. So, as a lot of people don't have many questions, I just want to say, oh, okay, there's one more question, Yokmoy. Do the elephants' behavior change when they spot humans watching them at this particular plantation, upset or disturbed? Actually, they don't care. They're usually fine because we keep a distance. So far, the elephants have been very calm, relaxed. Their behavior doesn't change. They continue eating. They're relaxed. Maybe one of two few times, maybe we've seen on different places the mother and the baby running away, but maybe because they feel insecure and they're not from, they've been separated from the group. But 99.9% of the times, whenever we see the elephants, they're very calm and relaxed. Very calm and relaxed. Um, hmm, yeah. There's one group in other place which we have seen them. Whenever we try to see them, they try to usually run away, or, go away from when they see you from half a kilometer away. That could be because they have bad experience maybe with other places, and they don't like humans in general. But at least our experience, they're usually pretty calm. Usually, yeah. That's a good point, Jonas said. Sometimes there's a visiting herd from another plantation which could be quite timid. This could be a sign that other plantations may not be treating them well, potentially, like I said. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Farina. Good night. Look, my dose of Ulo Muda that I saw showed displeasure to smell or see humans. That means somebody is disturbing them or has really annoyed them, and that is a sign. You see, animals in general, you need to understand this. Usually, if they know you're not going to disturb them or no threat to them, they're usually calm. Like in the park we are based in, and also in Danam Valley, you see the red leaf monkeys just chilling outside, the gibbons above you, and hornbills around because they know you're not a threat. Okay, go to other reserves. Why do animals just scatter everywhere? Because they know there's something, they're suspicious of something, they've had bad experiences. Those at Kinabatangan are cool. Yes, true. Kinabatangan are chill. Yeah. So guys, you all can stay in touch with us on